Hi everyone, Shane R. Monroe here. We have the Steam Deck set up and we're going to be looking at the Steam Deck controller right out of the box. I want you guys to see what the firmware upgrade looks like, what it takes to set up, and pretty much anything else we can think of. And then we're going to actually talk about it playing a game. So the puck literally just sucks onto the back. I'm sure you've seen that. And it does show like a charging light. There's various different lights on this thing. You can see it doesn't stick on fantastic. A lot of people say, oh, it's a really strong magnetic hold. It's good enough, but I think that may have been oversold just a little bit. Now, I've got a mouse hooked up here to kind of keep things easy. And we'll go into settings, and then we go to controller. And here we can see that there's a USB setup for the Steam controller, but the puck is kind of like just sitting here. Where's the controller? I don't know. Let's turn the controller on and see what happens. So the puck alone doesn't initiate any sort of firmware upgrade. You actually have to have a controller on it too, which I thought was kind of interesting. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do this. And it says it's going to update the puck. I thought it was really weird that you couldn't update the puck without the controller on it, right? So we got a little skip ahead line at the bottom if you wanted to dart ahead, but I wanted you to see exactly how long this process took. So we'll just let this finish. All right, and then it tells you to unplug the controller and plug it directly in. We're going to use the exact same USB-C cable, just take the puck out of the equation. And once you plug it in, the controller starts updating, and it's the exact same thing. We're going to put a little loading bar down there for you. Let this thing finish on its own. Now, it's not too bad, really, what sort of updates you have to do. Now, if you're behind on Steam, you may need to update that as well. All right, so now you can put your puck back on. All right, great. And just, yeah, okay. Perfect. Just sits on your desktop. I love it. Okay, moving along. Great, so now we have this little Steam controller icon up here with the battery that'll take us directly to the Steam controller layout. I thought that was kind of cool. You can name it, of course. You can ping it. This is kind of cool. I don't have the sound enabled, but if you ping it, it'll buzz and make these cool little noises. So it'll tell you where the controller is. That's kind of nice. Rumble, haptics, we're going to talk more about that later. This is a good time to maybe test the buttons. So here we go. We're going to do the full button test. Check it out. We got our grip, our gyro grip tested. We got the track pads, all the buttons. I mean, if you've ever set up a controller, you've seen this before. But it's kind of cool seeing it just for the Steam controller. Pretty neat. Click, 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 click. And then you tend to forget that the track pads are also buttons. You got to click in those too. Click, click, click. I'll get down there eventually. All those buttons. See, I was waiting there because I didn't know what it was waiting for. It was waiting for me to click in the pads. You forget about those clicks. And, of course, the rear buttons as well. All right, so I think we got them all. Nice. All right, so we can hold B to get back out of here. Tests are complete. And we have successfully set that controller up. Very nice. Very nice. Very handy. All right, now you can see my connection is excellent, and it should be. The puck's right there. We've got some more stuff to show you about that. Now notice I'm starting to walk away from my desk. At the very farthest, I know you can't see, I'm sorry, I should have set up another camera. I got about 12 feet away, perfect line of sight. Actually, it's probably more like 10 feet. 10 feet. Yeah, so I'm not sure if maybe I'm interpreting excellent, good, and okay differently than somebody else might. Okay looks bad to me. It's an orangish color, and I didn't have to go that far away to get that, right? I didn't really have to go behind a wall. I was in line of sight the whole time. So, yeah, I mean, maybe this is something that is fixable with firmware in terms of like power consumption or something. But I just wanted to let you know that if you're sitting 12 feet away from your TV and there's something in the way, there might be a problem. Now, you can store up to 2 controllers per puck, and I don't remember if I show you on this video, but you can have up to 4 pucks, so you can have 8 controllers total. And you can change which puck it's attached to, right? So you can take the controller in the living room, swap to the other one, and then take it back to your office and then swap back to the other puck. So that works out well. All right, so the Steam buttons work as you would hope. The 3 button and then the Steam button bring up the applicable Steam Deck menus. Obviously not the same if you're on Windows unless you're in big picture mode. But yeah, I mean, everything works as it should. I'm going to do one more software check. Yeah, there's definitely been like 2 or 3 updates just regarding the Steam controllers. You want to make sure you're keeping up to date with that. And yeah, I think what we're going to do here is take a look at a unusual controller configuration I've got set up for Overwatch. I've got gyro, rear buttons working, I invert the Y. There's a whole bunch of stuff I do, and I'd like to show you why and how it impacts my Overwatch experience. All right, so let's get started doing some testing. You would kind of hope that if your Steam Deck was asleep and you took it off of the puck, that it might wake it up. Well, it doesn't. What about waking up with the button? It does not appear to wake it up. Now, we know Bluetooth on wake works, but maybe not off of the puck. I just heard it beep. Not exactly sure what that means, but I can tell you that it isn't on. So I'm assuming that means it's connected to the puck, but we're still asleep. We'll wake it up. All right, so now we are what you would call big picture mode. This is just the regular mode for the Steam Deck. And as you can see, it works as a standard controller. Now, if you use the pads here, you can use the pad as a D-pad on the left. The right doesn't perform any function. You would kind of hope that maybe it would work as a mouse here, but it does not. So I think what we really need to do is to go into a game and take a look at the control settings. Now, here for Overwatch 2, I have a very specific configuration. I have gyro turned on, I'm using the rear paddles, and I've got invert Y. And if you take a look down below, you can see all of my different mappings. Now, we're going to have an entire video just on Steam input. I just wanted you to kind of see what was going on. Now, in the gyro calibration, if for whatever reason you were to lose calibration, you can run the calibration right from here, and I'm going to show you how to do it right within the an app too. All right, and it said drift correction found, so maybe I had some drift going on there. Everything else we're going to talk about in a different video. Now you can also see that the Steam Deck controller is still available. So you have now 2 real controllers. One person could play on the Steam Deck, and one person could play with the controller for a multiplayer game. So that's kind of cool. All right, so of course Overwatch is my drug of choice, especially when it comes to testing these sorts of games. I'm really surprised that there's not a layout here specifically for the new Steam controller, but that's okay. I wanted you to see that. Now, why I like Overwatch is because there's a variety of heroes to play. Each one has sort of different skills that help us test this out better. Now, right now, I've got the gyro set up to be replacing the right joystick or augmenting the right joystick. There's, of course, a million different ways you can set this up. That's the beauty of Steam Input, but we're not going to, again, delve into the whole Steam Input side in this video. I just want you to see that it comes up and what gameplay looks like with this. All right, so let's start off with a basic hero type shooter guy, which would be Soldier 76. Now, he is a run and gunner. Now, also, I want to point something out. Now, right now, you can see the gyro is active all the time. This is how I typically like to play. You can set the gyro to only happen when you do certain things, like aim down sights, which, by the way, this guy doesn't have an aim down sights. This is not Call of Duty. Now, you're probably saying, Shane, this controller is like jumping all over the place. Nah. So one of the things, let's talk about the whole gyro thing. Now, right now, it's very sensitive. Now, you can go in and change everything, by the way. So let me show you what it looks like to go into your controller here, right into controller settings, right? And you, first of all, you get your layout, which is great. But then you can go into controller settings right now and take a look at your gyro behavior. Almost everything, I mean, again, we're going to talk more about this, but almost everything is controllable. Now, right now, I've got the gyro set for none, gyro always on. You can use pretty much anything, including the new grip sense that they're talking about. Now, grip sense doesn't work as well in this game. I'm going to leave it set to all, but I did want you to see sort of what that menu looked like. Okay, so now that I'm in the game, why would I care about gyro, right? So if you use your right stick and you try to center on somebody, and I know I've got the gyro on, so it kind of messes things up. But if you try to dial in, you're going to do it kind of like this a little bit, right? Even if you're one of those side-to-side people, right, you're still having to dial into somebody's head or whatever, right? Which you can do pretty well if you're good with the right stick. But now imagine quick motions with the right stick while aiming in with the gyro. Very fast to acquire your target, right? And because this has a recoil, I can use the gyro to keep the recoil down, basically meaning I can always shoot straight. Now I'm playing on a table, I'm not in my regular environment, so I apologize. But that's what gyro is really good for, 100% precision aiming. Now I've got the rear paddles, so right now I've got the rear button set, so we have bumpers to lay down your health, and then I don't have this guy mapped to anything, but I do have run mapped to one of my rear buttons. Now tell me, does it make sense to click into run or even, hold a button to run on the front when you can just tap that button in the back and keep your other hands and fingers free, the rest of your hands and fingers free? And again, it's amazing just how used to that sort of dialing in. I'm sorry, again, I'm playing with my hand on the table. I'm not used to that. But it's amazing how fast you can get dialed into using a gyro. All right, so that's the gyro piece of the equation. The next piece of the equation, of course, is routing buttons that you don't want to the rear, right? So right now I've got these buttons routed where I never have to use this bumper. Why would you care? Why would you care about that? Well, let me show you something. I'm going to go in here and change to another character, Moira. Moira, of course, I still have my gyro control. Now, Moira's got two triggers, one that dispenses healing and one that dispenses pain, right? And if you want to send a ball out, you would click the bumper and then choose which one you wanted to send out. Let's say that I'm greasing this guy hard, right? Or maybe I'm healing somebody and I want to throw out a ball while I'm doing a trigger motion. Now you could claw type style, right? You could claw, but in reality, instead, I have that bumper set to the back button. So literally I can be doing anything else. Say heal, I could be sucking it down and I don't even have to wait. Did you see how I was able to suckle the guy and then throw a ball at the same time, essentially? I didn't have to take my finger off. Let's say that I wanted to heal and I wanted to get a ball off. I didn't have to reach up here and stop healing. So my point is that there's ways of using these controls to really maximize. Now, of course, you can always use the paddle as a mouse. Now, this is not my jam, but I do know that the trackpad can be used. Again, I'm not used to doing this. But yeah, so you can also do it that way, and you can, of course, adjust the sensitivity of this. Now, again, this acts as a D-pad, so let's do this. Right now, my right D-pad is assigned to push to talk. So you can see Monroe World shows up there because I'm pushing to talk. Again, this works as a D-pad. So that also works. So if I was playing, I wanted to reach down, I could do that. And of course, because I want to be able to do that stuff while I'm moving, right? I can't do that. I can't move to these two things. But what if you were to move this trackpad over here? Now I could literally move while doing push to hold. This thing's not set up that way, but you could set it up that way. There's a million different ways that you could make this work out for you. I am getting what you would call rumble. It's more like enhanced haptics, right? You're really feeling a haptic motor down here. It's not what you would consider like true rumble. All right, now I want to show you something that could cause you some difficulty. And this was something that I initially thought was going to be a problem. So I've got my ult now, and watch when I execute my ult right now, and watch as I try to like side to side these guys with my ult. I can do pretty good, right? I can tie it in, I can zip back and forth pretty quick. Yeah, it works pretty good, right? Now again, I'm got my arm here. Now, if I were using the default controls from Moira or the default settings, I probably would have lost my gyro and it would have been like this all over the place. That's because the rumble will interfere with the gyro in certain situations. Let me show you what I mean. If I go into my options and you go into Moira as a hero, look at what my settings have to be. I have to turn down my secondary fire to 5%, my ultimate vibration to 5%. You have to set these, otherwise, as soon as it starts triggering that, it starts jumping everywhere. I can't actually hold it still because the haptics are strong enough to interfere with the gyro. Now, on this weapon, it doesn't do anything. I could literally dial straight in and hold completely still. It's one where I've got higher vibration that causes the problem. And trust me, that can get under your skin. So you can see this is almost impossible to hold still because of the vibration. Look at that, it's jumping all over the place. It's not me. Now, when I do my ult and I try to wax both of these guys, watch what happens. I'm trying to keep as still as I can to dial in, and it's just jumping all over the place. Ah! And if it jumps around enough, you'll start to drift on the gyro. So what you'll have to do is mid-game, you'll have to hit the Steam button, go to your controller settings, run down here real quick while you're in your frickin' spawn, hit calibrate, wait 4 seconds. Oh crap, I just screwed it up. But that's the idea. You don't want to touch it while you're doing that, of course. But anyway, so that's the idea. And then you can jump back into your game and everything will be fixed. Now, this one seems to be a little bit better behaved than my other one. When I'm on the PC, it was a little more shocking. But I assure you that that jumping around of the gyro due to the force of the haptics, that's something that you'll probably at some point have to monkey with. And again, inside of Overwatch, you do that by reducing the vibration of your certain fires, right? I'm just going to shut them all off. You can do that too. If you just shut your haptics off, it's a whole different story. I have no haptics at all. So if I'm grinding these guys, I'm feeling nothing. But you also see that I can hold this completely steady. I'll check a little bit, but that's further distance, right? Oh. Dead on, right? Perfect precision. The gyro, while great, needs to be tempered depending on the game that you're playing. I was concerned that that was a fault of the controller, and I guess technically it is. If you have too much rumble going on, it could impact the gyro. Long story short. So that was the one big concern I had. So it works out well. Now, again, very simple, but this is just sort of the proving ground. Does it work for the game of your choice? Go in, tighten everything down, go into your configuration, lower, raise the haptics, whatever you need to do to get this thing working the way that you want. And that's the beauty of it. That's what separates it from all of the controllers I showed you in my last video. Everything is settable almost to a fault, almost to the point to where it's almost mind-numbing how many options that you have available to you. It's crazy. And you can even share these. How cool is that? You can actually share your custom configurations. Again, something for another video. But again, if you go into like gyro behavior, just the sheer amount of control that you have is absolutely crazy. So that's going to conclude this video. You've seen a taste. This is a taste of what can be done. We are going to show you games that utilize this. How many buttons does this controller have? Just off the top of your head, 12, 16, something like that? Well, these can all be buttons. This can be buttons. So let's say 20, right? No, the answer is hundreds. Well, let's say dozens. I've never actually tried the hundreds because you can use shifts and qualifiers and taps and rolls and menus. It's absolutely crazy. We're going to show you that in another video, but that'll do for this one just to get you guys acquainted with the Steam Deck. We'll do an acquaintance video with the Windows coming up next. Then we'll go ahead and get into the more meaty stuff. Down for the puck, and we are done.